So about a year ago, I ordered some Total Chaos upper control arms from All Pro Off-Road, and I thought they were arriving today, but instead I got these. I'm not really sure what they are, so I called All Pro, and they said that no, they're not upper control arms, but they are from Total Chaos, and they will work just as well. So I guess I got to figure out what they are now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are talking bed stiffeners. That is what these giant L-shaped brackets are for. You can see I already have the one on my passenger side installed. I will show you how to put these on. These are specifically the Total Chaos bed stiffeners. Hopefully in the future I will have many more products from Total Chaos on my truck, but for now I just have the bed stiffeners, so that's a starting point. Install process for all these bed stiffeners is fairly similar, so I will show you how to install these specifically. There are many different brands to choose from. I will go ahead and link to these and a few others down below so you can check those out. But they mostly do the same thing, and I suppose if you have some basic welding and fabrication skills, you could even make a set of these yourself. I mean, it really is just a giant L-shaped bracket. A lot of them, though, what makes it convenient is, especially for these, you do have to drill 1, 2, 3 holes right there in the side, but all these other holes here line up exactly. You can see all these other holes you can see line up exactly with this installed one with the bed bolt, the bolt where there's a D-ring, and all those so on and so forth. Okay, so with that out of the way, what is a bed stiffener and why do you need it? Well, these do exactly what they sound like they do. They stiffen up your bed. If you have any weight on your bed, say from a bed rack it's obviously loaded down with all kinds of gear, maybe a rooftop tent. Most of the bed racks do sit directly on your bed rails here on top. I think the only one I've seen, and of course correct me if I'm wrong, that actually mounts to the 4 bed bolts right there is one made by Bay Area Metal Fab, which I'll link to below, and that is a sweet bed rack. Might have to upgrade to that one at some point. But all the other bed racks I've seen, they do mount directly to the top of your bed rail, which, depending on how much weight you have on it, will push on it over time and sort of slowly make the bed separate outward from the bottom of the bed. And another thing you might be saying, well, I don't have a bed rack, I don't carry anything, loading that down, so I don't need this. Well, you can also get that sort of that lateral bed flex if you're just off-roading in general, doing extreme flexing. Those angles sort of cause that to pull apart over time. Obviously, it's not something you're going to notice immediately, but these are Tacomas, they run forever. So after a few years, that might be something that becomes an eyesore and then jeopardizes the stability of the truck when you're on the trail. These bed stiffeners in particular are made of 3/16 steel, so they are nice and sturdy. You can see they do have 3 anchor points down the side, right there in the corner, middle, and top. And even on the top they have a flat piece with a hole in the middle so you can put like a CB antenna or a whip. I have seen other brands of these. They do even come with a bottle cap opener, which is certainly a nice feature. I wish these had. I might have to add that on at some point. So I'm super excited to get these bed stiffeners installed, so let's get to the install and tools you'll need. And all you need to do this job, toward the end you will be dealing with some hot metal shaving, so it's nice to have some work gloves and some safety wear for your eyes. You will also need a T55 and a T40 Torx bit. I went ahead and got this whole cool set. It even has this case on Amazon. I will go ahead and put a link to this and everything else down in the description below so you can get it too. You can see these just attached to a socket wrench. It makes it a lot easier, unless you have some kind of high-powered impact driver, which I do not have as of yet. It makes it a lot easier to get off some of these bolts. You do need a 10mm socket, which I prefer using with a drill, since you also need a 5/16 drill bit, a 1/2" wrench and 1/2" socket, and last a 5/8 wrench or socket. Now before we get started, I do need to remove this piece, which you may or may not have to remove. This is for my bed extender. It's just the bracket that the extender goes in so it can slide into the bed. There is a write-up on Tacoma World where you can do this. You have to cut your bed extender and be able to use this with the bed stiffener, but it seems like a ton of work and I rarely use my bed extender anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this so I have a nice flat surface to install the bed stiffener. And to begin with, you're going to take your 10mm socket and remove the inner of these top 2 bolts, this one right here, and also on the 10mm you're going to remove the 2 bolts holding the tail light on, which is this one right here, and the bottom one of these two right here. Next, you are going to go ahead and pull the tail light out. I find it helps using gloves for this because otherwise your hands sort of slip off depending on how tight this is. And you could disconnect it if you want for all the bulbs, but there's enough slack in the wires to just sit it on the bed right here. As long as it's secure, not going to fall off, you should be good to go for that. Next up, you're going to take your T30 torque bit and go ahead and remove this bolt right here, holding your D-ring down in the corner attachment. And then when you're done, you are going to reuse all of the washers and lock washers on the bottom of this, so make sure you don't lose those. Then you're going to take your T55 Torx bit and remove the bed bolt right here. I'm sort of doing it one-handed, holding my bed mat out of the way. Okay, and next you're going to take the supplied 7/16 bolt with the supplied washer, and you're going to use all the washers and hardware that came underneath the bolt for your D-ring here in the corner, and you're going to go ahead and install that down. After getting that first bottom bolt in, you are going to go ahead and put the top bolt up here, get that lined up. If you do have a gap up here, you can see mine is flush, so I can just go ahead and tighten this down. But if you do have a gap right here, do not go ahead and tighten this one. You're going to first have to drill the 3 holes right here and then install those from the bottom up. Otherwise, if you try to install this one with that gap, you might just break this bolt. So as you can see, mine's nice and flush, so I'm just going to go ahead and screw this one in. Then next, you're going to go ahead and take the bed bolt with your T55 bit and reinstall that right there with the washer on top. Next, you will be taking that 5/16 drill bit, and wherever these holes are lined up on your bedside, you are going to go ahead and drill the bottom, middle, and top. And these aren't too hard to drill. They pop right through into where your tail light was, so that's why you needed to remove that. So we'll go ahead and get those drilled. Again, this is the part where you might have hot metal shavings, so it might behoove you to have your eyewear and something to protect your hands. Then after your holes are drilled, you're going to take the supplied hardware and install it on either side for all 3 using your 1/2-inch wrench and socket. The middle and bottom are very easy, you can see, because you have plenty of room. For the top one, I found it easiest to slide the bolt through from the bedside, so it is sticking out behind this plate right here. And then from the top, you just slide on that washer and nut and tighten it down from there. Alright guys, and at this point, after those 3 bolts are installed, all you got to do is put the headlight back on, make sure there's no metal shavings in there, go ahead and clean it out while it's free. Again, be careful with your hand down here, this stuff is very sharp. And then after the headlight's back in, you're just going to put the bolt here and there to hold the headlight in, and you are finished. And there it is, all installed, guys, looking pretty good. Again, I'll go ahead and link a few of these down below, but there's probably 5 or 6 different brands you can choose from. Or again, if you've got the skills, you could probably make a set of these yourselves. It would be just as functional, save yourself some money. This is certainly one of those things that a little time and money now can save you potentially a lot of damage, heartache, and eyesore down the road, because once that bed starts separating, I imagine there's no stopping it. So definitely one of those mods that's better to do sooner or later, so go ahead and check that out. If this is your first time stopping by, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below. Let me know if you plan on getting a set of these bed stiffeners and which brand you go with. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay tuned for the next video.